Hey folks, it's Matt once again. Welcome back to another review for the Stallone Marathon, and this time it is Over the Top, which I think is a criminally underrated Stallone film. I love this film. A long time ago, someone actually got me this hat, which is similar to the hat Stallone wears in the movie, which the kid has right there. There's one of those scenes that it was like a switch that goes on, and then when I do it, I feel like another person. Machine. Feel like this truck. But yeah, Over the Top. It's a 1987 film directed by Menahem Golan, who I believe he did Delta Force, and it's a Canon Films movie that Canon Films were making low-budget films, and they wanted to get into the big time, and they figured, well, Sylvester Stallone is a big movie star, so they paid him a lot of money to star in this movie. And Menahem Golan, Golden Globus, Canon Films, they thought this would be their big break into becoming a much bigger studio. And then after this, he would do Masters of the Universe with He-Man and Superman 4, and that was the start of the downfall of Canon Films. And I love Canon Films. There's a lot of Canon Films that I enjoy, including this one. I know that shitty Canon Films documentary took a huge helping of shit on this, and fuck that. If you don't like the film, that's fine, but I'm speaking of that Canon Films documentary. It can kiss my ass, and it can suck my ball sacks, all the sweat off them, because now one iota of good was said about this movie. It was just, let's heap as much trash onto this film as possible. And I love this film. I love this film very much. I think it's a very underrated film. I think it has a great heart on its shoulder and on its sleeves. I think it's a great story about a father and son reconnecting with each other. It was about arm wrestling. What's wrong with arm wrestling? I think that's a man's man sport. There's still arm wrestling competitions to this day. It made it unique. We've seen tons of movies about football, basketball, baseball, hockey, but not too many films about arm wrestling. The only one I can think of is some low-budget sci-fi flick called Hands of Steel. But I'll tell you one thing, I think this is a shitload better than Real Steel, which stole the plot of this movie. Father and son getting together that go to this tournament, and it's a father and son reconnecting with each other. They stole this movie, but that got more praise, and that's more silly. It's Rock'em Sock'em Robots. And that has a shitty dad that sells his son for money. That's the kind of shit that Stallone's character in this movie, Lincoln Hall, would beat the fuck out of Hugh Jackman's character. He beat the shit out of him. There, the switch is turning on. Fuck Real Steel up its fucking real ass. It's steel ass. This movie kissed the shit out of it. Fuck Real Steel. Fuck that movie. Fuck a father selling his son for cash. Lincoln Hawk would beat the fuck out of him, stick the hawk symbol on the truck up Hugh Jackman's ass, and let it fly up out of his fucking mouth. And that gets a 7 point somewhere around IMDb, and this gets shit, that can kiss my ass. This, there you go. So, put the switch back on. Sorry about the ranting. But I think it's one of those things, like, why should I care if people hate the film? I love the film. That's all that matters. I can't change what people think. It just, I think the people who made this film put some good work into it. I think it's more of, I appreciate what they do, and I just don't get the huge hate for it. I think David Mendenhall, who got he won a Razzie Award for Worst Supporting Actor, I think he did a great job as the son. He was likable. I don't think he was annoying at all. I understood everything he was saying, everything that he was going for in his performance. I don't think, if you think this kid is a bad actor, have you seen Grudge Match? That fucking kid, understand jelly beans. That's a bad kid actor. Jake Lloyd, maybe he didn't have a good script, but that's bad of a performance in The Phantom Menace. Not this kid, David Mendenhall. I think this has a great soundtrack to it. Has one of my favorite soundtracks. In This Country, Meet Me Halfway, Winner Takes It All. Love the songs in this movie. Giorgio Moroder does a great piece of score called The Fight in the Third Act. Beautiful, beautiful soundtrack. Movie is short. It's only 90-some minutes long. Goes by a very fast pace. Stallone does a great job. He's not an asshole at all. He's very humble, soft-spoken. He's a blue-collar guy. That's what I like about Stallone's character, Lincoln Hawk. First, I love that name, Lincoln Hawk. It's a great name for a character. And I thought Menahem Golan did a good job directing this. I mean, just the opening where you have that great song, In This Country, where we'll see, again we believe. And it has the great landscape as Sly's character is driving down the road. And he's a trucker going to pick up his son from military academy. He's graduating, and the mom is sick. Sly left long ago, and he knows it's the biggest mistake he ever had in his life. And the mom is in the hospital getting ready for surgery, and she wants Sly to take the kid and both of them to drive over to see her so they can bond with each other. And the kid's not sure about it. And because of his military schooling, he's very much, he's intellectual, but he's much calling people sir and ma'am. And he's just, the purpose is that he is supposed to be a rich, spoiled brat. Even Sly tells him that. But he tells him that not in a dickhead way, but as a matter-of-fact way. And the kid's just doing what he's been raised as by his grandfather, who's a dick, played by Robert Loggia. He does a great job as sort of the villain of the movie. I like one of his subordinates is Terry Funk. The wrestler Terry Funk, who's worked with Sly a few times, including in Paradise Alley. I think Terry Funk coordinated the street fight in Rocky V, so Sly's been friends with Terry Funk for a while. And I love the bonding between these two. I think it's a great father and son story with a wonderful heart. And people can laugh at that and make fun of me all you want. I'm glad for it. I'm glad I have this fucking hat that someone gave me. It was a great gift. I don't wear it a lot in videos because I've just been used to wearing this cap. I'm just used to it. And I don't find what's so wrong and what's so bad and what's so horrible of this movie and the canon documentary. Oh, the writer is so sad. You know what? How about you put my name on this movie? I'll be happy to have my name on it. I didn't write a single thing, but if you don't want your name on it, writer, put my name on it. I'll be proud of that. Yeah, I wrote Over the Top. I'd be fucking proud as hell of that. Give me that glory. And people always talk about the arm wrestling story. Yeah, it's part of the plot, but the plot is a father and son reconnecting with each other. And I think it's a sweet story. Again, Stallone, people say he's a bad actor. I think they're full of shit, to be perfectly blunt. I know that's rude of me to say, but that's not me being rude. It's just me giving a blunt answer. I see this. I don't see a bad performance. I see a really likable father, a father many of us wish we could have had. And hell, I would love to have Sly's character Lincoln Hawk as a dad. I think that'd be fantastic. And he's a nice guy. He has a sense of humor. His son doesn't say much, and he's like, "Oh, so much for small talk." The son asks, "Well, how come you never wrote me on my birthdays?" He said, "What are you talking about? I wrote to you 100 times." And you find out what happened because the grandfather, Robert Loggia, was a dick who hid the letters, and the kid finds it later and finds out Sly was telling the truth. And yeah, Sly's a truck driver. Again, it was cool to see him be a blue-collar character. And I relate to blue-collar characters. I love blue-collar characters in movies, whether it be an Alien, Leviathan, Tremors, Stephen King's Graveyard Shift. Like all these movies, I love a lot of them. is that they have a blue-collar type of character you never see. Because I hate to be the bearer of bad news, it's not just the East Coast and the West Coast. It's a huge chunk in the middle, and there's a lot of blue-collar folks in there. Just saying. And this big guy is like, I'm the Smasher. And Sly goes, that's a nice name. And it's like, you want it? He wants to arm wrestle him, and Sly goes, why not? And gets in this arm wrestling, and he gets psyched up, and he turns the switch, and he's like, yeah! Beats the fuck out of him, turns his hat forward. We meet Bull Hurley, which I think is a fun villain. This big guy here who has since passed away. Rick Zumwalt. I also recognize him from Batman Returns. He's the big guy that Michael Keaton punches, and then the guy realizes there's a bomb, and then gets the guy over the ledge and explodes. You don't see him explode, but you get the idea. So I loved this guy's Bull Hurley. I think he's an intimidating villain. He's a fun villain. He has a lot of bravado, a lot of snarling, a lot of pissed offness. I don't break your shitty arm! And because this is PG, you can't say fucking. And actually, I'm surprised this isn't. Try to think, when was PG-13 around? I think it was around by this time, 87. I know Red Dawn was the first one that did that. I forget what year Red Dawn came out. Shit. But yeah, this is rated PG. Forgot. So, but yeah, a lot of times he says, "I will rip your shitting arm off." And it's a lot of the film is his travel story between Sly and the kid, and I thought the kid did perfectly fine. I don't understand what the big hate for David Mendenhall is. I thought when he was mad, I understood what he was going through. When I think he pulled off some really good dramatic moments with Sly. I think he had some good chemistry with Sly. I don't hate Rocky V, like I said in my review. I do think David Mendenhall and Sly had better chemistry. I think Sage Stallone, may rest in peace, and his dad, they had alright chemistry in Rocky V, but I do think David Mendenhall and Sly had better chemistry in this movie. I think they worked very well together. And Sly's a sweet character. They stop and they're ready to sleep in the truck, and Sly mentions briefly, you're a sweet kid. You're a good kid. And I like the shot where they fall asleep and Sly ends up sleeping on the kid's shoulder. And then in the morning they start exercising. They exercise their arms. You have that beautiful song, Meet Me Halfway Beyond the Sky. No new beginning, not another lie. I'm butchering the songs, but I love the soundtrack to this movie very, very much. I love that Sly has pictures of his son throughout the inside of his truck. And it was cool seeing him being a truck driver. He has his little arm wrestling mechanism in his truck. Because he did prepare for an arm wrestling championship where he could win a brand new truck and so forth. And I like the way Sly handles this scene where the kid kind of tossed down to him. Oh, he probably doesn't have much of an IQ. And I think nowadays in movies you'd have the dad be a dick. Oh, well, what the fuck you... But Sly plays it off nice. Well, boy, I was past aggravation a mile back. And he's just like, just get in the seat. Let's see if you can move this machinery around. And he's being friendly. Like, he's okay, if you think I'm so dumb, you see if you can drive this rig. He's not being mean. He's not being rude. He's not going to try to sell his fucking son. Like Hugh Jackman and Real Steel, which I don't know why that got the pass, and this got an ass in its face. Why? Hey, Hugh Jackman's character is so much likable that he tried to sell his son and he's completely another fucking dickhead. And that movie is so much more realistic, even though it's Rock'em Sock'em Robots the movie. But this is about arm wrestling, which is a real tournament. You go on YouTube, there's even a tournament recently, 2016. So I don't get it. I don't get it. Don't fucking do it. But he's teaching the kid how to drive. I thought that was a really nice, sweet moment. And they go by this place to eat, and there's this kid. And he's like, hey, I bet you can beat him in arm wrestling. And he loses the first time, and he's running out. He's like, you just want to embarrass me, and you left mom. What are you doing? And Sly tells him straight, you know what? No, it's not about embarrassing you. The fact is that your grandfather made you this rich, spoiled kid, but you know what? I don't care what your grandfather says about me. It was time to do for yourself. Nobody, the world meets nobody halfway. If you want it, you gotta take it. And so what if you lose? As long as you lose like a winner, it's fine. I know you can do this. As a 2 out of 3, and David Mendenhall beats the kid 2 times in a row. And he gets excited, and he's happy, and then Sly's talking with the mom on a telephone. Then the kid gets taken. He did a nice bit of action where he punches the shit out of a guy, gets in his rig, chases the truck down, stops it. It was Robert Loggia's goons to try to get the kid back. They get to the hospital, the mom's die, and the kid's mad. He's like, man, if I didn't take this trip with you, I would have been able to see her before she died. And I thought that was an understandable reaction. I thought there was an understandable reasoning in the script. That this is a kid, he would feel that way. And I think the director did a good job with staging sequences. Like after the funeral, there's this beautiful shot of the sun and the waves and Sly on the back of his truck, and it's looking off into the distance. And I love the scene after that where he wants to see his kid who's at the grandfather's estate, and they won't let him in, so he drives the fuck through, smashes to the house, and Robert Loggia's like, you left him before, damn you! And Sly's like, damn you. But he gets arrested, and he's told if you leave the state, we'll get rid of the charges. And the kid, I thought this was a nice scene between the two, where Sly goes, you don't want me to leave either, do you? And the kid's like, no. But at least I have a home here. If I go with you, what will happen? Where will we be? And Sly goes, well, together is all I can guarantee. And the kid goes, I can't. I can't go with you. And I think that was a nice emotional scene. And I'm fine with saying with a straight face, I think this has a good heart to it. I really, truly do. And I'm not going to apologize for it. People can make fun of me all they want. I don't give a fuck. I still don't love the movie. So, while Sly goes to Vegas, the kid finds the letters, finds out his granddad's been lying to him like dickhead he is. And we see him travel to stealing their car, get into the airport, and get into Vegas to go see his dad. While we see Sly in this arm wrestling tournament. And just get the whole thing. I know Sly says that the film should not have had all the songs, the soundtrack, should have had a score. Sly, I'm sorry, I disagree. The soundtrack makes it even more memorable. It's easily one of my favorite soundtracks in the film. I think it's one of the best soundtracks of the 80s. I really do. It has a lot of great songs to it. Meet Me Halfway, Winner Takes It All, In This Country, Take It Higher, Take It Higher, Fight with Fire, Over the Top. Which that's a great way to end the film on. But before we get to that, we have the arm wrestling tournament. I know that's another thing Sly complained about, that it should have been more realistic or more gritty. It's hard enough to make arm wrestling interesting on film, which is why people don't like it. They go, well, it's arm wrestling, it's not that interesting. To me, it needed to be flashy and fun. Almost as if this is the WWF. If Vince McMahon did arm wrestling, this is what it would be. You had, like, I swear one guy looked like he was Jimmy Snuka. You had one guy who's like the steroid version of IRS, Erwin R. Shyster. Had the glasses, white shirt with a... I'm like, that's Erwin R. Shyster. It's the steroid version of it. I mean, if Vince McMahon did, if WWF had arm wrestling, this is it. And to me, then I like that WWF of that time, and I like this of that time. It made it fun, made it entertaining. That's the point of movies. And I love the song "Winner Takes It All." I know Sammy Hagar is not a fan of the song. Sorry, I think it's one of your best songs, honestly. And I loved how, people drinking motor oil. Uh, One guy, actually, I'm trying to remember if that was in the movie. I think that actually that was something Stallone said he saw. He saw someone drink motor oil, and I forget what interview it was. But I do remember like one guy actually has a cigar and he fucking eats it, and just the tournament montage of people getting put down one by one in the arm wrestling tournament. And it's one of those tournaments you have to lose twice. If you lose once, you're still in. So the guy who eats a cigar, Sly loses one match. He goes meets up with Robert Lozier, who offers him a payday, and Sly goes, "No, I have a family." And Terry Funk won't let him through, and he just, a fuck yeah moment, just pushes Terry Funk right through the window. And he gets payback on the guy who beat him. And you get the kid. The kid arrives, and he tells him, hey, no one beats anyone halfway. No one meets anyone halfway, I should say. You do for yourself. And actually, before that, there's another little montage with the Giorgio Moroder song, or I should say music, The Fight. I love that piece of music. I think it's a great score. And what's funny is, I'm a big fan of this movie called Shocker. I reviewed it when Wes Craven unfortunately passed away. Love Shocker to death. And the coach from Shocker is in this movie. He's the guy who, once in a while, they have the people sort of being interviewed, and he's the guy who goes, my whole body's an engine, and this is a fire plug, and I'm gonna light them up. And he has an arm wrestling match with Sly, and Sly beats him really easily. And then the guy just says, I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. That's the coach from Shocker. I'm like, wow, that's cool to see him in another movie. So being a fan of both of them. And Shocker came out a year after this. And I know Sly's not a fan of the movie. I know pretty much anyone associated with this film puts the movie down. And that's why I think what is, I've just seen so many, quote, bad movies that this film simply does not deserve to be in that category. It's fucking bullshit. This movie doesn't deserve to be in the category, oh, it's a horrible movie, or it's a terrible film. If you, fine, that's your prerogative. That's not my prerogative. A great story about a father and son getting to know each other. It has a great heart on its sleeve. Fantastic soundtrack. Goes at a very fast pace. Uh, to me, it was never boring. A very colorful villain. Extremely colorful finale and flat. I don't know if flashy is the right word, but it's entertaining. It's a fun tournament. So I don't get what the fuck is the problem with people. But I need to calm down, so put the switch back on. Again, it's people's opinions. I understand that. I just disagree. We agree to disagree. And as the great one-on-one talk with his son, and he gets into with Bull Hurley, and Bull Hurley even punches him at one point, gives him a bloody nose. I love what Sly says. I mean, I said it before, but still, I love it where he goes, I take my hat and I turn around. It's like a switch going on. And when it goes on, I feel like another person. I feel like a truck, like a machine. And it gets to the point where they both have to have their hands strapped to each other. And I know one story, the rumor is that they did some of that for real, and that while I think it hurt. This is the story I heard. I don't know if it's true. I hope for it to be true. I think it'd be funny. But this is what I've heard. Okay, it's not on there. I know it was somewhere where, like, during the match, like, Stallone hurt his arm, but, like, the other guy... You know what, let me just look real quick. I know this film bombed badly, which is too bad. It bombed terribly. It did not make any money at all. It cost, I think, $25 million. I know Stallone got a big payday for this. And it only made $16 million in the US. That's a bomb. No matter how you put it. Years later, he explained why he agreed to appear in the movie. He said he kept offering me more and more money until I finally thought, what the hell, no one will see it. Well, and he said he was unhappy with the final film. If he had directed it, he would have made it with a darker tone, changed it to an urban environment, used score music, and made the Las Vegas finale more ominous. I'm sorry, I disagree wholeheartedly with that. John Wetton, the lead singer of the rock group Asia, saying Winner Takes It All for the movie, but after performing the song, it was felt that his voice wasn't mean enough, so the song was offered to Sammy Hagar, whose version ended up being the one in the soundtrack. Which is funny, when you watch one of the trailers and you listen closely, you do hear John Wetton's Winner Takes It All in one of the trailers to Over the Top. And I wish I could hear that version, because I love the song. I love to hear what he had done. I mean, you hear a little bit in the trailer, but we'll love to hear that full force. In one of the final matches, Stone goes up against Mad Dog Madison. And he was actually the big guy in Rambo 3. He played the Russian special effects soldier who perished in the final scenes with a snapped neck and then blown to bits. So I thought that was pretty cool. Uh, I remember hearing about how they did the... It's for some reason not on here, but I remember hearing about how they had... Like, people go, well, it would be unbelievable that Sly would win against Bull Hurley, but that real life Sly actually did very well against the guy. And for some reason, I can't find that anymore. That could have been bullshit, so I'll move on. But it's a movie, buy anything. And this final battle, I love the use of slow-mo. I love the back and forth, back and forth, the slow-mo, getting up here, over the top, the musical score of In This Country, just slamming down. Yeah! The kid gets up, they're hugging each other, and then they go into the words of In This Country. I thought it was a terrific way to end the film. And then him and the son are together, and they have the new truck, and they drive off to that great song. Take it higher, fight with fire, over the top. I, I would gladly defend this movie. I love this film. I have no problems with it. It's a short film. It's 90-some minutes long. It goes by a very fast pace. I love the finale arm wrestling at the end. It made it unique. It wasn't just another football or basketball or hockey game. It was different. People always talk about they want things different. Well, right, I know there's a good different, there's a bad different. I think this is a good different. It's something they do in real life, but make it fun for a movie. Sometimes if you go realistic, you don't always have to go realistic in movies, folks. That's the thing. You don't always have to go for realistic in movies. Realism is not always the way to go. Sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes when you go more realistic, that means you're sucking the fun out of it. And whenever you say that, people will just go, well, you're just a numbskull. You don't want anything realistic. It's not about wanting anything realistic. I think Stallone's character is realistic. I think his performance is realistic. I think the bond between him and his son are natural. I think they have good chemistry with each other. Stallone is not leaping off tall buildings in a single bound and fly in the air like fucking Superman or anything. So it's not that unrealistic. But I'm fine with it having a film that's colorful and mixed in with some great bits of dialogue. I do enjoy that line, "The world meets nobody halfway." I think that's a good line. It's a good message, and about standing up for yourself. And this is the type of guy who any of us would love to have as a father figure. And he's a very nice, humble guy who knows he made mistakes, but he wants to make right. Mixed in with colorful villain with Bull Hurley, solid job of Robert Loggia. I think the kid was not annoying at all. I know I'm going to get comments that, oh, he's annoying, he's irritating. We agree to disagree. I think he did fine. I can name you dozens of child actors that are way worse than David Mendenhall. I think he did perfectly fine. I think him and Stallone worked well together. I love the soundtrack to death, from beginning to end. And there's a lot of good, memorable moments. Him pushing Terry Funk through the window, him crashing his truck through the gates in order to see his son, the bits of dialogue between him and David Mendenhall, the arm wrestling scene at the end. I love it. I love it. Fuck the Cannon Films documentary for shitting all over it. But turn that switch back on. I'm going off the road and off the rails here. But I love this film. I stand by this film. And I think this film is a classic. To me it is. I think it's criminally underrated. In fact, that's probably what I'm going to put on the title. Criminally underrated. And I sincerely love this movie. I love it the way Menahem Golan intended it. And that's just my thoughts on it. I know this had a lot of promotion when it came out too, because I do this scene on my other channel, Rambo Rat Films, about movie history, and I covered the history of the month this came out, and I found a lot of stuff like Brute, and they even had a contest for a arm wrestling tournament, and it's actually here on YouTube. You can find out Over the Top. I forget what it's called, promotional, or I forget, but there's actually a contest you can, I guess, be a part of the movie or something. But yeah, that's Over the Top. Love the film, and I stand by it. But thanks for watching. Take care, and we will see you later. Bye bye.